If you've been watching some of the Red Wings videos that we have made, you would know where we're coming up with this topic for this video here today. I mentioned it back in the Mantha trade video, but Rory Boylen made this article on May 12th, 2020 on Sportsnet, one off-season trade candidate for each of the NHL's 31 teams, and in it he lists one tradable asset that every team has. So I said in the Mantha video that, hey, we're going to use this article as video influence, I guess, for the next few weeks, I guess. There's going to be a long time to talk about many of these ideas here, but the one that really stood out to me, aside from Mantha was a big one because he was a guy that Red Wings fans could probably say is the best player on their team. But the Vancouver Canucks tradable asset, according to Rory Boylen, in this article, was Olli Juolevi. And after I read that, I was like, that's a video topic. Yeah, that's a video topic, and it's one that I really don't know what side I would be on. I really don't. It's weird. Okay, before we get further into this discussion here, let's go over onto the actual article itself and read what Boylen has to say about the Vancouver Canucks first-round pick back in 2016. It's not that the Canucks would be looking to trade Juolevi. On the contrary, if he could make it to the team next season and be effective, the team would be over the moon. But look at this decor. Alex Edler and Tyler Myers have no move clauses. Quinn Hughes is the star. Troy Stecher is an RFA still under control. If pending UFA Chris Tanev resigns, that's 5 spots taken up already, and Jordy Ben is under contract for next season. Juolevi has a contract that runs through next season, so there's no need to panic into a trade. But if he can't crack next year's roster at age 22, you have to wonder if the team uses him to upgrade the roster as it tries to rise to another level. Now, this, to me, and I will say I respect Rory Boylen, he's writing for Sportsnet, there's really nothing to knock about on the guy, but I will say that this is kind of a weak idea here. That out of all the Vancouver Canucks assets that they have, the most tradable piece is Olli Juolevi, simply because you have a decor that already has 4 guaranteed players coming back. 3 or 4. Let's just say maybe even 5. To me, that's not enough of an incentive to go out there and trade an Olli Juolevi. And sure, maybe he does have a point. If Juolevi is 22, which he already is, and if he is not able to crack the lineup next season, which, let's face it, there's a very real possibility of that happening, then maybe the Canucks consider trading him for a younger, a better defensive prospect, or a better defenseman in the NHL already. But I don't really know if that's something that would actually happen. Mostly because the way the Vancouver Canucks have been building their prospect pool and the way they've been talking about their prospect pool, they're very, very okay with the guys they have, and they're very positively speaking about the guys that they have. Usually, if the Vancouver Canucks are in a position to trade away prospects, there's almost always an underlying issue with those prospects that causes them to be traded outside of the realm of how good they are and how good they project to be. I will say, though, that Tyler Madden is the only exception so far because they traded him for a legitimately good asset in Tyler Toffoli. Aside from that, though, the Vancouver Canucks traded Jared McCann because of a few locker room riffs, I guess. Not that Jared McCann was a bad prospect or a bad player, he's an NHLer right now and he's revitalizing his career. That's awesome to see. The Vancouver Canucks traded Hunter Shinkaruk because they straight up just said, yeah, we don't see his game translating to the NHL level, and to Benning's credit, it didn't. With Calgary, with Montreal, Hunter Shinkaruk could not find an NHL home. The Canucks traded Jonathan Dahlian because, hey, apparently he requested a trade. Straight up. He's like, no, I don't want to play in Utica. I want to go to a place where I'm given a better opportunity. That's according to all the hearsay and the rumors. That's not verbatim what anybody said. That's just, me trying to formulate the story and making things make sense here. And with Juolevi, we don't have any of those. This team is very confident in Juolevi, and you hear that every single time they talk about him. They're always going to bring up, hey, he trained with Sami Salo, and Salo said that he can be really good in the NHL. Hey, he was really good with the Comets before getting injured, and now we're waiting until he recovers, and then he comes back to the AHL, and then he becomes an NHL top 4 defender in his prime. And for the most part, it looks like the guy is really, really on pace mentally towards working towards that. We haven't had any rumors of Olli Juolevi disrespecting the organization by saying that he wants more opportunities or whatever. Sure, there was that one speculation that happened a few years ago where he was playing video games, but I don't really believe that actually happened. I believe that that was wrong entirely, but that's just my personal belief. And because this has been established as the way the Canucks treat their prospects, it really doesn't say to me that Juolevi is a guy that would be remotely considered for a trade from the Vancouver Canucks point of view. Now sure, if you get an offer from the Avalanche and they say, hey, we'll give you Bowen Byram for Juolevi, you take that. You take the guy with more value. You take the guy who looks to be better sooner. But that's not going to happen. Something like that is not going to happen. You're not going to get some team looking to trade for an Olli Juolevi, willingly giving up some very good assets that the Canucks would actually think are worth it getting back. Olli Juolevi at the surface is a 22-year-old 6'2" left-handed defenseman who's played a total of 63 AHL games in the last 2 years. On paper, just looking at the numbers, just looking at the profile, there isn't a super immediately amazing, digestibly awesome statistical profile there. And because of that, I don't really think there's any possibility that a team looks at Juolevi and says, yeah, I want that guy for my team. Here's a boatload of awesome assets that you would actually think are worth it. Juolevi had 25 points in 45 games last season, and that's good. I get that. He was 21 the whole year. I know that's certainly not bad. But Juolevi is just a guy still developing, man. Like, are you serious? Trading the guy? The point about the Canucks D-core doesn't even really make that much sense. Stetcher could be gone. That could happen. Tanev could be gone too. That could happen. But you take a look at the guys that the Canucks have that very well could replace the lineup spots of these players. Nikita Triamkin's supposed to be coming back. You got a Brogan Rafferty in your system that's looking to be an NHL player. Earlier in the week, we talked about how the Canucks want to bring back Brisebois, Sautner, and Chatfield. 3 guys that they were consistently rotating in the Vancouver Canucks defensive lineup throughout the past season. Any one of these guys could potentially suit up for 20, 30 games if the situation calls for it. If you're taking a look at the Canucks D-core and you're saying, yeah, it's pretty packed, that's why they might want to move Juolevi, then what are you doing, man? There's already so many other pieces on this team, and you know somebody's going to get injured here or there because it's the Vancouver Canucks. It always happens. So keeping guys around in a position where it's okay for them to stay developing, that to me is not a bad thing in the slightest. And Olli Juolevi is probably the mainstay guy when it comes to people thinking about Canucks defensive prospects. He's probably the Canucks' best one. From a value point, at least. I could say Brogan Rafferty is probably a better player than Juolevi is, and I wouldn't really think that I'd be wrong. But I would say that Juolevi probably has more value than Rafferty. He probably has more value than Wu. He probably has more value than Toni Uutinen. And with the Canucks D-core the way it is, man, hey, Edler's not going to stick around forever. Tanev could be gone as soon as next season. Oscar Fantenberg is a guy who I don't really think he's actually going to come back. And Jordy Ben was scratched for a very big part of this year. If there's a team that could use more people on their D-core, hey, the Canucks could be that team. And if only Juolevi is on there, and because he's not in the NHL, I don't really think that's enough for the Canucks to say, hey, okay, yep, you're going, you're out, sorry, bud. So that's my opinion on the Olli Juolevi trade talk. I don't even really know if there's any trade talk. I haven't really been seeing anybody on Twitter talking about this, to be honest. But because it's in this Sportsnet article, because it's published in a medium that has a lot of fans and has a lot of access to the public, I thought I would just respond to this little idea here. Again, not disrespecting the writer Rory Boylen in the slightest. It takes a lot of time and dedication to write an article about all 31 NHL teams, but the idea he presents for the Vancouver Canucks in trading Olli Juolevi, to me, isn't really all that great. So, comment down below what you think about this topic. I hope you enjoyed this video. So, that's Sportsnet, and bye.